From the studios, welcome to JFP Sports, where fantasy and sports talk live. We got a great one on tap for you folks, but I am riding solo today. Ricky thought it was a great time to take a vacation. The guy did 2 shows. He's already taken a vacation. Jeez, he went to Denver, Colorado. You could only imagine what Ricky's doing in Denver, Colorado right now. Yeah, and it's not watching a Colorado Rocky game. So, folks, like I said, we have a great one on tap for you. We had a great Mets win yesterday, other than Citi Field almost blowing up to bits and pieces. I don't know, they had like a little electrical fire over there in one of the gateways. I believe it was by the Jackie Robinson Rotunda. It was on fire a little bit. So, kind of like their season has taken a turn. For the wrong reasons. But they got a win last night, 4-1. Vargas was he showed up to the ballpark. They had a great lineup on tap. They did a lot of great things, moved runners, and played good ball. And they got the win in Atlanta, a hot Atlanta team. That this team is in second place behind the Nationals. They're young, they're feisty. They got Ronald Acuna, who I just got a jersey from. Just got it from Fanatics. A nice Ronald Acuna jersey. It is, like we call it, clean. Ronald Acuna Jr. is going to come off the mend in a week or so. They'll be even better. But the Atlanta Braves just need a little more pitching, and the Mets need Moses. Also, in the baseball world, the New York Yankees got a great win last night. Wow. I can't say wow so much. 5-3 victory. The Yankees looked unstoppable with their ace on the mound, Luis Severino. Showed up in high fashion. Sevy pitched 7 innings, 4 hits, walked 1, gave up 2 runs, 11 Ks. 11 Ks last night. The guy is unstoppable. I just think of when is this guy going to be a free agent? Because I just want this to last forever. The Yankees haven't had a serious ace, I believe, since 2010 of Sabathia of the old, when he signed that mega deal for $160 in the winter of 2008. But the Yankees haven't had a true ace since 2010, and they've been signing high-priced free agents. Didn't work out. A.J. Burnett, to name a few. But it has worked out. Luis Severino has arrived. I mean, he's making $600,000 this year. Is that a bargain or what? Could you imagine Luis Severino on the market today? The guy would get $300 million. I mean, you have Verlander making $20 million. I'd rather take Severino. He's 24 years old. He definitely has another 10 years in him. I mean, that's a 10-year, $300 million contract waiting. I don't care if he pitches once a week, maybe twice a week. He is a stopper, and a great stopper for the New York Yankees. So, Yanks got the victory, but also Boston got the victory. So, the standings stayed the same as we woke up this morning as we did 2 days ago. But my point is, Severino is the most important Yankee to this squad. Where would the Yankees be without Luis Severino? They're not going to be any better with Aaron Boone. I won't even let him manage my Little League team like I've told numerous people. I think he makes bad decisions. I think sometimes he puts out lazy lineups. He just puts out either the veteran. You had Gardner 2 nights ago hit a walk-off home run. I know Gardner doesn't have the greatest numbers against lefties, but I would have played him instead of Hicks, who's batting .230, 3 home runs, and 19 RBIs. Are you kidding me or are you kidding me? You play Gardy, all right? Gardy party. But the Yankees looked really good, and this just shows you if the Yankees had another arm behind Severino, what would they look like? They would be better than the Yankees of 98. Now, I'll bite my tongue for now. I know there's going to be a lot of comparisons through the season about that. But they look unstoppable. If the offense could do that to the Houston Astros and pitch that way, have a ace go 7 innings, 11 Ks, and you get it to Robertson and Chapman, game over. Game over. But right now, the Yankees rank 4th with that pitching. I mean, that pitching is dismal. I mean, they had a stat up last night, actually. The Yankees in the last 5 games, their starters' ERA is over 6. And that's including Severino with the 2.23. That's including Severino. That means the other 4 guys aren't getting it done. Sonny Gray has been a major letdown in his second season with the Yanks. You definitely have CC Sabathia, who, can you really trust a 38-year-old? Can you really? You have Masahiro Tanaka, who, by the way, he's inconsistent. He's inconsistent. Sometimes he could look like Hideo Nomo, and other times he could look like Hyunjin Ryu. So it's a crapshoot when you have Masahiro out there. But let me just break down these other teams' lineups, all right? Houston, Justin Verlander, Garrett Cole. I'm not even mentioning Charlie Morton. 2, you have the Boston Red Sox, Chris Sale, David Price. For whatever Price's woes is against the Yankees, he seems to pitch well against everybody else but the Yankees. So I think they have a better 1-2 punch than the Yankees. Cleveland Indians, Corey Kluber, the Klubot, and Carlos Carrasco is a better tandem. And the Yankees have Luis Severino and a big question mark. You cannot, like I said, count on a 38-year-old. You cannot count on Masahiro Tanaka. You're definitely not going to count on a rookie in Domingo Germán. Jordan Montgomery's making his way back. A lot of people like to compare him to a younger Andy Pettitte, but he hasn't arrived yet. That second spot was supposed to be taken by Sonny Gray. Pickles, as they call him in the clubhouse, is more like sour pickles. I mean, even he has Romine behind the plate. He is just not getting it. He doesn't look like New York is for him. And listen, I am a big Sonny Gray fan when he was coming up with the Oakland A's, the swinging A's, like they used to call him in the 70s. But he looks scared out there. He looks scared. Okay? I know this is not Oakland. I know it's a different culture, a different atmosphere. But he's got to get rolling. You don't give up a Jorge Mateo, who was raking in Trenton last year. You don't give up a Dustin Fowler, who people were comparing to Moonlight Graham. For my fans out there, Moonlight Graham was a player for the Mets he was a rookie, and he played the outfield, and he got hurt just like Dustin Fowler did last year in Chicago, and he never got to have his first at-bat. Well, Dustin Fowler had his first at-bat, and it was against the Yankees. How apropos. That took place 3 weeks ago. But he gave a hot-hitting Dustin Fowler, who was tearing up AAA before he came up and had the patella tendon injury. Again, you had Jorge Mateo, who was a stud shortstop, had no room for him. You had Didi, Gleyber Torres, and you gave him Leiter. So all the 3 players that you gave to them, you haven't seen any return in Sonny Gray. What, maybe 2 or 3 starts that were okay, mediocre? Sonny Gray has not panned out, and I think that was the trepidation leading into the winter about getting Garrett Cole, because I knew Houston wanted immediately either Gleyber Torres, Estevan Florio. Actually, they wanted Estevan Florio, who's a big prospect for the Yankees. He ranks 2nd in their minor leagues in A-ball, moving to Double-A in 2 weeks. Estevan Florio, 19-year-old, he's a stud Dominican outfielder. He just is very raw. They wanted him and Clint Frazier for Garrett Cole, and you could see why. You see the return investment that Houston has gotten from young Garrett Cole. He is just averaging 11 strikeouts a game. He is dominating the American League, coming over from the National League, which is very rare. Very rare. But back to my point is that the Yankees don't have that second arm. So what do? We need to move on. We need to get an arm. Okay, and I'm going to present a little trade for you guys. I'm going to present, how about we deal with the Texas Rangers? Texas Rangers are 13 and a half games out of the West. They are not going anywhere. Okay, folks? They are not going anywhere. They have a high-priced starter that they got from Philly 2 years ago in a deal, sending Jorge Alfaro, who's the starting catcher of the Philadelphia Phillies, in exchange for Cole Hamels. And in exchange for Cole Hamels, they took on his salary. Cole Hamels is due $22 million this year and a buyout for 2019, which is $6 million. I take on that money, or I say, if I'm Cashman, I say, let's split. I'll take $12 million, you take $10 million, and I'll give you some major league ready players and a prospect. So how about this deal, folks? How about the Yankees take on Cole Hamels? We'll pay him $10 million. You take 12. Throw in Big Sexy. Throw in Mr. Bartolo Colon. I know he could pitch in New York. He pitched with the Yanks with a turn against the Yanks. He pitched with the Mets all those years and in a postseason. He'd be great to eat innings and great on a bullpen. So you give me those two starters, and I'll throw you Aaron Hicks. Okay? You got to sell these guys when they're high. And the Yankees just have a plethora of outfielders. A plethora. But you give him Aaron Hicks. You give him Tyler Austin, because you got a first baseman in Bird, and you give him Chance Adams. 3 for 2. So it's Aaron Hicks, Tyler Austin, Chance Adams going to Texas in exchange for Bartolo Colon and Cole Hamels. Let me know what you think, folks, because I think that is a great trade. I mean, they I'm going to say this word rhymes with grape. They graped the Miami Marlins this past offseason. Starling Castro and Cash to the Miami Marlins for the reigning NL MVP and Giancarlo Stanton. 59 home runs, over 150 RBIs brought in. Are you kidding me? But teams get desperate, especially going towards the trade deadline, and they want to get rid of the money off the books for next year. And they stay under the luxury tax, so they don't get taxed 5%. I believe this is a great deal for the Yankees, and they don't have to give up much because they're taking on some salary, like in comparison to the Giancarlo deal. And I think it would work out for both because Aaron Hicks and Tyler Austin need to play every day, and they can't do that on the New York Yankees because, let's just face it, they're an embarrassment of riches, folks. But moving on with Severino. Going back to Severino, actually, the one starter you could count on for the New York Yankees. Look at his deal. The guy's making $600,000 in 2018. 2019 is his ARB year, okay? Arbitrational is how Dellin Betances took the New York Yankees to arbitration where, for instance, you go into a room against with the arbitrator, and the Yankees are on one side, and the agent and the player are on another. And they basically go back and forth about the money. Why I deserve the money. And then Cashman would be saying why he doesn't deserve the money. So you get it's kind of like a franchise tag in the NFL. You get the most for the starter that year. So you're looking at 2019, you could probably see Severino get $15 million. 2020 get $15 million. 2021 get $20 million. Why go through that when you could just rip up these years, okay? Have him earn it, because every player needs to earn it. Have him go out in 2019. See what he does next year. If he repeats or better, I'm even saying just repeats, or if he slacks off a little bit, I'm giving him a new deal, ripping this up, all right? Ripping this up and giving him a deal, a 10-year, $200 million deal, okay? I know it's big, but this is New York. The bright lights. You've found your ace. Now let's keep him. 10 years, $200 million for the 26-year-old when he becomes 26. That's when I would give him the deal. You have him till he's 36. In the mid-30s, that's when they start declining. Perfect. You have your ace for the next 12 years. So Yanks, after next year, I would definitely get on that. Don't be like the Mets. Because you see what happens when you start pinching pennies. So around the league, news and notes as we move on, because we can't spend all day on the Yanks and Severino. The standings right now, Boston and the Yanks. The Yanks are 2 out. They could definitely make that up. You have Boston going into Houston this weekend. Houston can definitely take advantage and take 2 out of 3 from Boston. And the Yankees are playing the horrific, one of the top 3 worst teams in baseball right now. I would say the top 3 worst teams in baseball right now are the Cincinnati Reds, the Baltimore Orioles, and the Baltimore Orioles. The Orioles are horrible. I was watching a game against the Nationals last night. They looked putrid. They couldn't take advantage of anything. Harper and Defoe drop a ball, first and second, nobody out, and guess what happens? The Nationals find a way to get out of it. Strike out, line out, double play. Are you kidding me? But that's the stuff that happens when things aren't going right. That's baseball. And I believe the Yankees it is a must to take 3 out of 4 in Baltimore. It is a must, and it starts tonight with Sonny Gray on the mound, 7:05 p.m., and his battery mate should be Austin Romine. But, Boone will do something where he has Sanchez behind the plate because he didn't catch last night. I don't give a damn about all of that. That is irrelevant to me and all the other Yankee fans. I hear lots of people calling up and they're saying, well, Sanchez needs to DH more. They're actually right. Okay? This man is having a lot of balls get past him. I'm not saying DH him for the rest of the season. He is a young man. I'm saying get Austin Romine in there 2, maybe 3 times a week. What's so wrong? And he doesn't even have to start. How about a defensive replacement in the 8th inning with a 1-run, 2-run lead? How about that? I know you lose the bat, but think about it. On 15 other teams, I had this talk with Ricky, actually, texting him today. On 15 to 20 other teams, not Posey, not Wilson Contreras, not Gary Sanchez, which is his own teammate, Austin Romine is the starter. All right? Austin Romine is the starter. The New York Metropolitans would kill to have Austin Romine. And you know what Austin Romine is? A backup on the New York Yankees. That just tells you all you need to know. Embarrassment of riches. Moving on to the Central, American League Central, you have the Indians. They're running away with that. I'm not even going to present that. They're running away. On to the West, you have the Astros. And look at the Seattle Mariners coming in at 33-22. I know it's May 31st, but 33-22 with no Robbie Cano and a banged-up Nelson Cruz. This is great for them. And they just made a trade a week ago, actually, last Friday. They acquired, for cash and some prospects, Alex Colomé, who could take some burden off of Edwin, the closer for Seattle, who's slipping my mind right now. Edwin Diaz came on the scene last year. I believe he had like 39, 40 saves. But he could take some pressure off of him going down the stretch. You got a solid 8th inning guy in Alex Colomé. They could mix and match. And you have Denard Spand, who is right now in his career, 3rd or 4th outfielder, but he's great off the bench. He's an experienced veteran hitter. And you know what? You got the DH. That's the beauty part of the American League. You have the DH. You have that extra station for a hitter on his way out of his career. So Seattle's making definite moves to be 1 game out. The Houston Astros are 35-22. Again, the Seattle Mariners 33-22. They are right there with all their injuries and the Cano suspension and all of that. That is remarkable by them, and I will bring them up in another segment, which I think they should make a move for. But we'll revisit that. The National League East, my friends. The National League East has the Washington Nationals ahead of the Atlanta Braves, I feel like they've been playing the Mets since last week, but because they had that doubleheader on Memorial Day. But the Atlanta Braves are out by a half a game out of first place. Have the Atlanta Braves arrived, or have they arrived? Wow. Ozzie Albies, like I said, Ronald Acuna, Joan Camargo, who's taken on the third base role because they shipped Joey Bats out. Naturally, the Mets pick up scraps, but Joan Camargo, wow, has he been a thorn in the Mets side? Been homering all week. Then he got the Phillies out by a game. And the Mets in fourth place, four and a half out. That is doable, my friends. That is doable. As much as, we want to say Citi Field is on fire. I hope everyone's all right. But Citi Field was on fire. The Mets season, this is just an explanation of what's going on. We're not surprised. The Mets are only four and a half games out, and they've gone through all of this. I think they can make it up. I actually was telling my girlfriend's stepdad, I was telling him 4.5 games is nothing. Okay, that's number one. Number two is I think the Mets could sneak in for a second wild card. Make some moves, okay? Everybody wants to go sell DeGrom across the street to the Bronx for prospects. It's not going to happen, people. You could dream all you want. Because if I was the GM, it wouldn't happen. It's one of those deals that, first of all, you're paying the tax because you are the Yankees. And the first time, Cashman picks up the phone, what do you think's going to come out of Sandy's mouth? Clint Frazier, Gleyber Torres. And then he'll hang up the phone. So, for what it is, Yankees and Mets don't have a long history of dealing, and you see why. So, I think the Mets could get there on their own, get an arm or two. I would definitely try to make a play for Danny Duffy. Danny Duffy, controllable for the next 2 years, okay? He has that same situation like Luis Severino, making $600,000, $700,000. He's controlled for 2 years. He's a free agent of 2021. You gotta go. You gotta get this kid. All right. He could pitch in the AL with better hitters. I always say the better hitters and the better pitching is in the AL because it's a tougher league. You got the DH. You're facing 9 strong hitters, so there has to be better pitching. He comes to the East, he will dominate. Daniel Duffy, lefty, throwing 95, 86 breaker. The kid's a stud, all right? Mets need to go get him. I know it sounds crazy. The Mets don't make moves. Trust me, Sandy doesn't want a bad rep. He doesn't, I know they're working with financial restraints, but this isn't any risk. It's paying $700,000. That's chump change. But the Mets could and that's my presentation for the Mets. Maybe ship Daniel Duffy. Okay, Kansas City ships Daniel Duffy to the New York Mets. Now, Metropolitan fans, don't get crazy. I would do it for Brandon Nimmo. Okay, the Mets have outfielders under contract. Nimmo's stock is rising. You have him play another month. Okay, you get to July, mid-July. You call up Kansas City. This kid's still hot. I would ship Brandon Nimmo. You have Justin Dunn in Port St. Lucie, one of their top prospects, and Cash to Kansas City. Cash, Port St. Lucie prospect in Justin Dunn, Brandon Nimmo, and you know what? Just for fun, I'll throw you Dom Smith too. So Dom Smith, Brandon Nimmo, Justin Dunn, and a little bit of cash for Danny Duffy. How about that 1, 2, 3 for 5 years, 10 years? Danny Duffy, Jacob deGrom. Oh, and by the way, Thor. I think the Mets would be on their way back. But that's definitely a deal to keep in mind because the hitting will come around, and you have a group of outfielders like the Yankees, the surplus of outfielders, only 3 spots you could play. You got Conforto in center, Bruce in right, Cespedes when he gets back in left. Where's the spot for Nimmo anyway, folks? Okay? So that's how the National League East is looking. The National League Central, okay? I love what the Brew Crew are doing. Baseball needs to pay a little more attention to the Brewers in Milwaukee. Christian Yelich, that was a great deal. I mean, the Brewers shipped off Monte Harrison, a Double-A player, and Lewis Brinson and cash to the Miami Marlins for Christian Yelich. The guy is a stud. Okay? I know he's lanky, and for a first or second hitter in the order, Some people don't think he has power. This kid has some power. He hit a 500-foot shot the other day. He has enormous power. Just hear these numbers. Christian Yelich on the year, so far up to this point, averaged 307, runs scored 34, home runs 7, RBIs 26 because he's hitting first or second, stolen bases 6. Tomorrow's June, folks. This kid is hot, and I believe he'll stay hot and carry the Brewers, not Ryan Braun, but Christian Yelich. 36-21 coming. I think they could win that division because I don't think the Cubbies are that good this year. I'm just saying. Their bullpen is shaky at times, but you have no Hugh Darvish. You basically have Hendricks and Lester in that rotation and other question marks. So they got to make a deal as well. But I really like the Brew Crew in that division. Moving on to the NL West, you got my team. Everyone knows this, the Colorado Rockies. I love that purple uniform, by the way. It just reminds me of Barney and Friends. By the way, that used to be my girlfriend's ex-boyfriend, Barney, the dinosaur. So yes, you have the Colorado Rockies coming in at 30-26. Okay? The D-backs are just 2.5 games out, 28-27, and you have the Dodgers. Where have been the Dodgers all year with all their injuries? Corey Seager goes down with the Tommy John. Kershaw with the back. He actually returns tonight against the Philadelphia Phillies. That's a 10 p.m. Eastern time start, 7 Pacific. But Clayton Kershaw coming back. Wow, and they're only 3.5 out, 26-29. They're making moves. Oh, and they had Justin Turner out. Guess what? He's back. The lovable beard. He looks like a garden gnome. But that guy could hit. And, hey, if you used to play for the Mets and now you play for another team, you're hitting. A.K.A. Daniel Murphy, Justin Turner. But, yeah, that's worked out for him, that move to L.A. And his launch angle they were talking about the other night. He hits balls. They look like fly balls, and they're getting out at 115 miles per hour. And his launch angle is so on point. And I believe that's what's made him one of the most feared hitters in baseball. And as we see all summer long, he'll run into a few in a week. But yes, you have the Colorado Rockies followed by the D-backs and the Dodgers. I really like the Dodgers. I think they're going to come on strong. How about this for a move for the Dodgers? I did a move for the Yankees and the Mets. How about this for the Dodgers? How about we send the Tampa Rays, where the Dodgers GM used to work for, okay? How about we send them Alex Verdugo, okay? Jock Peterson, who went from prospect to suspect, another one. He was big in their organization. I remember when they wouldn't even think of trading him for Cole Hamels or anyone else. Now they would throw him away if they could. But Jock Peterson, Alex Verdugo, and I can't remember his name. Urenas. Julio Urenas. So you got Julio Urenas, Jock Peterson, and Alex Verdugo to the Tampa Rays for Mr. Chris Archer. Could you guys think of that threesome? Because I love Alex Wood. I think he had to get out of Atlanta. You have Clayton Kershaw, one lefty. Chris Archer behind him in the National League. Chris Archer averages 190, 200 or so strikeouts a year. Could you imagine him in the National League? He'd be like Scherzer going into the 8th inning. A dog, I like to call them. Kershaw, Archer, and Alex Wood, they'd be in play, and they'd make a great move. So I think that's a move that the Dodgers to consider. And from my lips to their ears, hopefully. Moving on, some more news in the league of MLB. You have Ryan Madsen coming off the DL. He had a hip flexor. Then you have Alex Reyes back on the DL. I mean, he had a great start last night. Yesterday, actually. They were playing the Brewers in a day game. matinee, and he did really well. 4 innings, 2 strikeouts for a guy just coming off of Tommy John. He did really well, but he's back on the DL. Probably a precautionary thing. It's with a hamstring, but I think it's just precautionary. Cards don't want to mess with their ace. But can you think about the Cardinal pitching? You have Alex Reyes, Luke Weaver, Jack Flaherty, who throws flames. Okay, those are just 3. Then you got Jordan Hicks. Jordan Hicks. His average fastball is 98. He's throwing harder than Chapman. The Cuban Missile Crisis. He's throwing harder than Chapman. So I actually saw him in an appearance this past week. I'm like, wow, this kid is special. He's got flames out of his arm. Reminded me a little bit of when Carlos Martinez came up for them and was just throwing bullets everywhere. But the Cardinal future is bright, and this is just them, to me, just taking precautionary on their futures. And it's 10-day DL. Nowadays, that's a week and a half. Nothing. Okay, moving on. Some Hanley news, okay? On his DFA, last Friday, the Boston Red Sox DFA'd Hanley Ramirez. The DH was on fire. I can't believe it even happened. But when it did, I was shocked, and I actually said to my girlfriend, they released Hanley Ramirez. She's like, who's that? But Hanley was released, batting .254, 25 runs scored, 6 homers, 29 RBIs, and 4 stolen bases. Can you really? But Hanley, and this all points to signs that the Red Sox didn't want to pay him. I mean, in his contract that was established with Ben Sherrington in 2015, I remember Ben was there, and they got Pablo Sandoval and Hanley Ramirez. And in Hanley Ramirez's contract, the last year, they made it very creative. They said, if you get 497 plate appearances, okay, pinch hitting, starting, whatever, appearances, you will get an extra $22 million. His contract was average 15 per year. Okay, that was his AVV, annual value of the salary. 15 mil a year. Okay, for 4 years. It was an $88 million contract. But the stipulation was, if you play 497 pretty much plate appearances, and you get into those games, you're going to get an extra $22 million. You're going to give Hanley Ramirez, who has a hurt history, $42 million, but they did it because they figured he would never get to that. Well, guess what? Hanley Ramirez came out gangbusters, all right? I had him in fantasy, took him in the 15th round. I was dying to trade him to people because all he could play is DH. He established first base eligibility, actually. And I released him, whatever. Some kid picked him up. He was on his bench. And then he just starts going off. I was like, geez, Hanley, you're making me look bad here. You're supposed to not do good. But he was on fire, hitting second behind Mookie Betts in front of J.D. Martinez. That lineup was killer stud, and I think it's still killer. But definitely a loss to the Red Sox. But what we haven't discussed is why they did it. And they did it because, again, the money aspect. The money, they owed him the extra $22 million, and they didn't want to give it to him. So bottom line is they released him. Hanley has cleared waivers, and tomorrow he will become a free agent. Some destinations for Mr. Hanley Ramirez I would love are the Colorado Rockies, the Seattle Mariners, and guess what? The Houston Astros. Who do the Houston Astros play this weekend? D. Nennis. Who do they play this weekend? The Boston Red Sox up there. Yeah, D's a Tampa Bay fan. He's sitting here with his authentic jersey of Tampa Bay. Jeez. Don't ask him any other team but the Tampa Bay Rays. But Houston Astros, could you imagine that on a Sunday night with Alex Rodriguez and the gang doing Sunday Night Baseball? And look who comes into town, his former team, the Boston Red Sox. I could see Hanley going to the Houston Astros because he screams Carlos Beltran to me, which the Houston Astros had last year, that veteran presence. And really, Houston hasn't scored a lot of runs this year. I mean, they score, but against the bad teams. Against the Sevy, they didn't score anything. They look like, horrible. They look like the Reds. I say he goes to the Houston Astros. And how about that squad? Whew. And that would be a great Sunday night and great for the media. Something for me to talk about. But, yes, Hanley definitely going to the Astros. Okay, folks. So, yes, I did get into the baseball, no football, and, basketball, not worth watching. You got the Golden State Warriors. I say they win it in 5 against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Let's not even go further. If James and the Cavs get 2 wins, maybe I'll watch a sneak peek, but Warriors are winning. They're taking it. Moving on. So, the pick to click, okay? I spoke with Mr. Ricky from Denver. His pick to click this week is Mike Trout and Justin Verlander. My pick to click is Mr. Jacob deGrom, who career is 2-1-2 against the Chicago Cubs. 85 strikeouts on the year, and he is 4-0. My pick to click hitter is Mr. J.D. Martinez, not Manny Ramirez. That Ramirez and Hanley. No, I'm getting confused with Hanley Ramirez and J.D. Martinez. No, my pick to click is J.D. Martinez, like J.D. Steak Pit. J.D. Martinez, his average is .322, 18 home runs, 47 RBIs on the year. He's going to kill some Astro pitching. I say he gets 3 bombs. Easy, easy. So, folks, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, JFP Sports. And you're welcome to leave a comment, of course. And please DM us at our IG, JFP Sports, at JFP Sports. Ricky and I will do a mailbag segment starting in June, which is next week when he gets back. And we'll always be glad to answer. So, folks, in the great words of the Mr. Dr. Seuss, don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened. Till next time, folks. See you later.